Hey there, it's Dusty with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for insisting my mom miss the big family Christmas to stay with me postpartum? My husband and I welcomed our first baby earlier this month. Long story short, things happened way earlier than any of us expected, and she was born preterm and landed in the neonatal ICU for a week. So her due date was the end of December, but she ended up unexpectedly being born early December. I was always expecting my mom to be there for me like a solid month of support once the baby was home. And she has been coming and helping in the few days so far we have had our daughter home. My mom also came regularly to the ICU to give me support with the baby. However, she, my dad, and my sister, who lives locally, i.e. my entire support system where I live, are all planning to leave the state for 4 days for Christmas. For context, every year, my side of the family goes to my other sisters for Christmas. She lives in a nice trendy neighborhood in the San Francisco area with her husband and 2 boys, my nephews, 5 and 7. Every year she pays for hotel rooms for us to stay. My other sisters, my mom and dad all love spending Christmas at this trendy neighborhood, having good food and seeing my nephews. To be honest, the whole thing lost its shine for me a while ago. A lot of the trendy shops and places of interest are closed Christmas Eve and Christmas, the bulk of when we're there usually. So we're mostly trapped in my sister's house with all the adults playing and entertaining the nephews until dinner time. It's hours of sitting around not doing a whole lot, but that's just my point of view of it. I know my other sisters and my parents enjoy it quite a bit. With my mom leaving with my dad and sister for Christmas like it is just any other year, despite the fact I have a newborn child, I've only had in my house for 4 days at this point. I can't help but feel like my support system, especially my mom, is abandoning me. My mom does not view it this way. She thinks my husband and I will learn enough about the ropes of parenthood by the time their trip rolls around that we won't need her. But for me, it isn't about whether we actually need her. It feels to me that when it's me versus my sister, she will pick her over me and I'm second priority. These are my feelings on the matter and I want to explain that to her. I feel if she leaves on this trip, that it means I will always be second priority to her no matter what. More context, I'm the middle of 3 sisters and have serious middle child syndrome. Anyways, I guess my question is, I know the reason I want her to not go is purely emotional, and I know she really wants to go to see my nephews, who she can't see very often because they live so far away. Will I be the astronaut if I laid out my entire emotional reason for wanting her to stay and insist she stay, missing the family Christmas, and if she goes away, I'd feel like she has emotionally abandoned me and my daughter? Come on up, Tater. Come on up. Come on up. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Did you need help?
I don't even know where to start.
Yes.
You go first.
Yes, honey. Yes, you would be the asshole. A big asshole. I feel like, one, it's 4 days. Like, it's not a vacation. She's going to see family that lives not nearby. So I understand postpartum, and I understand that it's amplified when you go into preterm labor and you have your baby and she has to stay in the NICU.
Scary.
That's scary. That's hard. You're over the top emotional, and I understand all of that. And you would still be the asshole for doing this to your mom. This is a guilt trip. And as 2 middle children standing right here, you got to let that go. Do not identify yourself as a middle child. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that you're being abandoned because you're a middle child. Like, I do not do this to your mom. And I feel like it's your first child. Like, you are scared and emotional, but one, you're there. Like, and your instincts are going to kick in. Like, you're going to not, like, your mom not allowing you to rely on her is really good for you to make those instincts kick in. And 2, you have a husband there. Like, use him as your support. Like, he should be helping you in this time. And if I'm understanding this correctly, like, it's going to be Christmas time, so you should be able, like, hopefully your husband is off work and can provide the assistance that you need. But this is going to sound really harsh, but, like, did you not think about this before you had a baby? Like, that your mom may not be able to be there, like, for an entire month. I feel like that's a strong expectation. Yeah. Especially if you didn't communicate that to your mom or, like, work out something beforehand. But, needing someone for a full month after you have a baby, that puts a lot of pressure on that person. And you would be a huge asshole for doing this, in my opinion. Stacy asked why they couldn't go on the trip, and like
with a preemie baby.
Yeah,
I'm
she
sure
probably
that's
needs
really
to stay home
complicated
and not travel with a preemie baby. And I wouldn't, because I wouldn't want my child to get sick.
Right.
But I think all of this stems from what you're calling middle child syndrome, and get rid of it. You're not like, don't embody that. Don't make that your identity. You don't have to be like, the stigma around the middle child is, I think, bullshit. Like, be who you are, be your own person. Don't let being the middle child define you. Like, I don't know. I never really felt that.
Yeah, I don't
really.
I don't feel like we make that part of our shtick.
No.
It's not our personality. It's not who, I don't think so, at least. I don't.
Maybe we're both just broken and we don't know.
I don't know.
Your mom is not abandoning you or choosing your sister over you. Like, this seems like a planned trip every year where she knows she gets to spend time with her other grandchildren. And I think she's trying not to neglect the other children, especially if she's been there, for the week that you've been home. But I think you need to learn how to fly, and you need to learn to do this on your own.
And yeah, we see so many comments about it's not even about taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
It's her needing her mommy, like, as emotional support, just knowing she's got her mom there, right? And the symbolic abandonment,
right,
where she feels like she would always be a lower priority. Why does it matter? What does it matter, number one? And number two, put yourself in your mom's shoes. Try to think about all the relationships she's trying to balance, especially with kids who aren't local, that she doesn't get to see very often, like you said. And feel what you need to feel.
Right.
We've said several times, you can't be an asshole for feeling something.
Right.
It's what you do with those feelings that can make you an asshole or not. This is a time to self-reflect, and you've already written it down. Mm-hmm. And hopefully after writing it down, you had some time to go and read it back and try to see this with a little bit of separation, so you can self-reflect and audit where you're at and say, okay, no, this isn't fair. This isn't fair to do to my mom.
Right.
And if that doesn't do it for you, think about it this way. You have this child. What if you have a couple more?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And in the future, imagine yourself in this situation where your kid is going to throw this mud at you and try to guilt you. And number three, what happens if you spill all of this to your mom and she still goes?
Yeah, I think she's saying she's second priority middle child. Like, I think you've fallen into this trap of thinking that you're neglected, and which makes you need your mom more. Like, I think you need therapy to get over this thing that you've made your identity within your family, because you're going to start alienating your other sisters, and it's just not a good headspace to be in, especially postpartum, because it's a very, very slippery slope postpartum. And if your headspace is already here, you need to be in therapy now, and your doctor needs to know these big feelings that you're having, because it's a very slippery slope to postpartum depression. And I would say that this level of emotion that you're feeling is you're close. Like, I would get help if I was this person, because this is not a normal emotional response.
It's got to be. It's got to be amplified by the postpartum elements that are already there, right?
Yes.
But that can't make something appear from nowhere. There has to be a little bit of a seed for that to take and run with.
Yes.
So I guess, OP, you also have to understand, because everything is heightened right now and it's going to keep going that direction, that even the painful part of this, where you do start therapy and you do start uncovering this stuff and you do start having to face who you are and really start to get to know yourself, is going to be that much more painful, right? However, choose your pain. Because it's either going to be the pain of continuing to feel like you feel, and you don't say anything to your mom, but you're going to harbor all these feelings, and it's just going to strain your relationship and eventually break it down with all kinds of conflict. Or you're going to spill your guts to your mom. She's still going to go, and then you're going to have an immediate strain on the relationship, not just with your mom, but with the rest of the family as well. Or she stays, and then the strain with the rest of the family is even more present there. Or you start working on yourself. And although it would be a lot of pain up front, it is the equation here that nets the least amount of pain. Go through this pain now, so you don't have to go through it for the rest of your life.
I also feel like we get more context into her insecurities, being a middle child, feeling like she's second priority. by stating that she doesn't like the trip. She doesn't see the point in it. It's boring to her. She doesn't think her mom needs to be there. Like, I don't know. Those all seem very, like, the way she explains it seemed like it's like a very entitled feeling. I don't know. Like, I
don't know how much of that is her, like, general entitlement, and how much of that is symbolic because it's her sister, who she feels that has always received more attention than her. So she
the jealousy is dripping from these comments. And these could all just be really, really bad intrusive thoughts and really not the structure of your family. And entertaining these thoughts, especially postpartum, is so, so dangerous. Like, giving life to this kind of insecure feelings postpartum is I feel like, one, not talked about enough, and two, it just breeds depression, in my opinion. Because
it ultimately becomes a huge distraction for what should be happening during this time, which is bonding with your baby and caring for your baby.
Yeah.
And so much is formed in the early days where they have this physical security, right? There's so much that can be damaged during this time.
Yes. Feel very, very strongly about mental health and postpartum and the lack thereof, especially in the United States. Like, it's a tough topic, but that's for another day. Bye, guys.
Candy Thunder, once again, ladies and gentlemen. The question was, am I the astronaut for insisting? You would be. And insisting is the big thing there. And it's not just insisting, it's trying to use guilt to do it. What would you say she would be at here, Candy Thunder?
Yes, she's an asshole for thinking this. She asked if she would be, and you 100% would be. But it's so hard for me to put someone who's so clearly struggling, like, with mental health on the scale. But
I mean, she's got to go on.
You're a 2.
She would be.
You're a 2.
She definitely would be.
And if you do this, you're a 1. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, but.
Well, if she does this after having the opportunity to hear from outsiders, that would be a terrible thing. So if you know there's a better way and you choose not to use it, then you're an even bigger asshole, right?